Excellent. For those of you viewing now, please understand that we're recording this. If you don't want to be recorded, probably best you leave. Now, obviously, I'm not Hayley. For those of you who know Hayley and those of you who know me, you know that I'm me and Hayley's Hayley. Hayley's crook. Hayley has come down with COVID overnight. We spoke to her briefly this morning. She's very crook, can't be here. So she sends her apologies for not being able to make it. We hope she gets better. And Hayley, if you are watching, there's plenty of things about what you can do and can't do on MelbourneNet that'll keep you happy. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dave Glazebrook. I'm the General Manager of Innovation and Development. I've stepped in today for Hayley because what this day of action is about is incredibly important, and we kind of figured we shouldn't cancel. This is a highly important day for all of us. I've been part of Melbourne for a while. I've been part of the disability sector since 2006, just to give you some context of where I'm coming from. But before we talk about the day, the National Day of Action, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. And I want to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And I'm coming to you today from the lands of the Kulin people, Frankston. Now, you may think I'm coming to you from Canberra because of the thing in the background. I'm not. That's Ngunnawal country. We've just put that up there to reinforce to you that this is all about the federal government and the NDIS, which is a federal government program. There are people all over Australia meeting today. This is a National Day of Action, and this is all about the NDIS. And today's been organised by the NDS, the National Disability Services, which is our peak body. So today, across Australia, people with disabilities, families, support staff, agencies, we're all trying to make our voices heard, and we're trying to get a message to all political parties. Please look after the NDS, please fund it fully, please do the right thing by it. Excuse me, I've got some notes to read. I didn't know I was going to do this till about 9:10 this morning, so I apologise if I kind of look sideways every now and then. That's why. I want to make sure that the information gets across to you all. The background of this, the NDS was a fantastic social reform. It was one of those significant social reforms in Australia, and it came into being with bipartisan support. Both major parties supported this. Right now, it delivers supports to at least 450,000 Australians. Probably it's getting close to 500,000 Australians. It employs 270,000 Australians. So it's a significant part of our community, every community in Australia. What's happening is, however, from this wonderful start, and I remember at the start of this program where so many people, suddenly their lives are better off, they could do more, but we kind of hit a crossroads with this process. Plans are being systematically cut. The NDS is paying a lot of highly expensive lawyers to fight against families. Thing I was reading this morning, up till March this year in the current financial year, they've spent $33 million on paying lawyers to fight cases. In talking about today, we had 3 families we know have got cases with the Appeals Tribunal. So these are 3 Melbourne families we know have got cases with the Appeals Tribunal. So that's just our little world. The NDS should be about putting the people with disabilities at the centre of the scheme. We don't believe that they are any longer at the centre of the scheme. And that sucks. That's quite highly annoying. The NDS should give people the right to build a team around them, the team around them that does the things that they need to support them in the lifestyles they want. And from our point of view, to then live that fabulous life that they want to go and lead. But if you don't fund them fully, you won't get that, and the team will stop working. I hope also, I'm just going to cut in now, I hope also over today you'll see some of your colleagues, you'll see people walk around community in NDS t-shirts, these campaign t-shirts. Say hi to them. And if you're wearing a t-shirt today, well done you. Thank you for doing such. At Melbourne, we provide high quality accommodation. We also provide high quality support services to people. And it's because of those things we're part of this campaign today. And we want to join, not only from Melbourne, with everybody around Australia in campaigning today, because we want people to build these fabulous teams. We want people to be fully funded. We want them to have to go and live fabulous lives and live the lives that they choose to live. If these cuts keep continuing, what's going to happen is choice and control, the thing we talk about where people should have choice and control will stop. Choice and control isn't a luxury. Choice and control is not something is a luxury item. For 50 years, Melba's been delivering, empowering people. This is Melba's 50th year of operation. We started in 1972. So this is our 50th year of operation. So we've been helping people with a disability live lives their way. Oh, fantastic. Here are some of our people. Spot the t-shirts. If you get a partially funded NDIS package, you don't get that choice and control over your life. We believe at the moment the current government is eroding the NDIS and they're making cuts to people's packages, they're making cuts to people's access and individual packages, and they're undermining the social reform that was fought for in this campaign. Melbourne was part of fighting for the campaign to establish the NDIS, and we believe some of this is happening right now. Some of the promises we believe that were made about the NDIS are now being under-delivered, and they're being under-delivered at a fairly alarming scale. What happens when you get cuts to funding? You might get this short-term economic gain, and we all know there's a lot of economic pressure around at the moment, and I'll avoid saying anything about economics because Hayley's asked me not to be political, so I won't, I'll be good. So while you might get some short-term gain in making cuts, the results to the people we support are disastrous. They're just horrific. We see people now who are not being funded to the levels they need for overnight. We see people who have been having to wait 6 to 9 months for appeals to go through. And the whole point of this is for every dollar that the NDI spends, it has a $2.25 impact in a community. That's not me making crap up. This is research that came out of the NDIS earlier this year. And that's money that goes to support workers. It's money that goes into communities. It's money that goes into businesses, to small businesses. So the NDIS, not only on people's lives, has a huge impact on any community it's part of. So the stuff that's happening now, the trends are disturbing. And over the last few years, they're getting worse and they're getting quite horrific. When we start seeing people who are left without funding to do the things they want to do, we see people not funded to support overnight. We've seen, and we know within Melbourne, the amount of people that had to wait long periods of time to have reviews done, it's crazy. I was reading something in the media this morning, so I'm going off script slightly here, where they believe within the NDIS, what they're doing now is when people put in packages, they're not making phone calls to them. Only about 20% of people are having contact with someone when they're having their reviews done. There's some crazy stuff going on, And so when we start affecting the people that we support, when we start affecting their families, it causes them grief, it causes them crisis. The federal election, which 21st of May, we're a few weeks from, and this is what we're doing today. The federal election is our opportunity. It's our opportunity to make a noise to people. We know as the elections come up, politicians will listen to us. They might not listen that well when there's no election in the offing, but we know for the next few weeks, politicians will listen to us very clearly and very closely. And we want them to know that we want to see the NDIS fully funded, appropriately funded, and we want to see some really swift return times for people coming through who've got appeals going. So this is not just you knowing about stuff. There's some action we'd like you to take. It's really easy action. It's letter writing. And so Desley Mather. So Desley Mather is Melbourne's new communications manager. Desley, I hope you're floating around here somewhere. Desley's going to take you through the process of what we'd like you to do. And the more of us who do this, the better. And understand, if 450,000 people and families start writing the local members, that will have a huge impact. Desley, over to you to talk about the campaign we would like people to participate in.
Great, thanks, Dave. And I think everyone would agree you're doing a great job with 10 minutes notice. We all knew that you would nail it. Thank you so much. You're very experienced in the sector, so I'm very glad to see you step in for Hayley today, who we all send our best wishes to. And if you're here, Hayley, I hope you recover as fast as the onset of symptoms arrived. Hi, everyone. I thank you so much for joining us. I think the last count, there were 79 of us here, which is great turnout. Thank you so much. I think it's really important for us to be able to communicate that there is a lot of people in Melba's community and friends and family, as well as people we support and staff coming together to really send the message that we need to defend our NDIS and stop the cuts. So what I'm going to do today is just take you through a couple of actions. We're actually going to take action together today, and we can do that very easily and make sure that our concerns are heard outside of the Zoom room beyond. So they've got two options, and I'm hoping, well, I know that most of you are sitting in front of your computers, and we're hoping that you can do them right now. So we're going to also play a video, which is the project story that you would have seen perhaps earlier, but it's a really good summary of some of the concerns that the sector have around cuts to the NDIS, and you'll see that playing in the background. But what I'd like you to do, if you can, let me just pull up the link here. Okay, I'm just going to pop it in the chat box. Okay, here's the link. Right, if you can pull up that link that you see in the chat box now, you'll see that one of the options you could take in taking action collectively together today is to send an email or letter to your election candidates in your electorate. So what we've got there in front of you is our handy kit, which gives you a sample letter to adapt as you see fit. It's really important that you write as a constituent, because that is really powerful. That's what they're there to do. If those candidates take office on May the 21st, their job is to represent you, and they take it very seriously. So if you're able to open up the letter and provide your personal story and your connection to the NDIS, or just simply your concern as an Australian values the NDIS, that would be great. And if you go a little bit down the page, the handy kit that I'm telling you about, you'll see that you can also find your target electorate or your electorate, and there's some links there to find the candidates. Now you can write to all the candidates or just the ALP and the coalition. It depends what the lay of the land is in your electorate. We'll leave that up to you, obviously. And just to point out that if anybody here is in Chisholm, Higgins or Goldstein, which is mostly south and eastern Melbourne, you could have a really big impact because those seats are considered target seats in terms of being able to convince somebody to stand up in those electorates. And if you're coming to us by any chance from Indi up in the northeast, then you also have a great opportunity to have some impact there as well. But we all should be writing to our candidates to ask them to publicly commit to a strong NDIS going forward and to stop the erosion of it. The other thing that you can do is to go to our Facebook page this morning or Instagram and share this morning's post. And it would be great if you could tag it, hashtag defend our NDIS, to join the community of people around the country who are doing the same thing. There are a bunch of events going on around the country this morning. This is just one of them. And we'll all be having a look at that tag at the end of the day to see how things have unfolded around the country. So what we're going to do is play the video. If you could please take the time, 4.5 minutes, to do one of those actions. It would be great if you can let us know that you've done it and the count. So if you've sent 2 letters, just to let us know, because we would love to be able to report back to the sector taking part of the campaign as well. So, all right then, Vivek, who's the director of our program today, could you roll the video and we'll all start taking action right now. And we'll see you in 4.5 minutes. Thank you.
Ago, she finally got into the Ellie Demarchelier was born with cerebral palsy and has battled chronic illness for much of her life. Just over 2 years ago, she finally got into the NDIS.
The moment I had been approved for the NDIS, I was actually sitting in a wheelchair that I had purchased from Aldi because it was the only wheelchair that I could afford. My feet didn't touch the foot plates. It caused my legs to cramp. I had gone 27 years without any disability support, and the NDIS meant that for the first time I was going to get a wheelchair that was made for me. It was freeing. It was freedom. Come on, boys. Let's go.
The support has empowered Ellie to become a fierce disability advocate.
I felt such pride in our country that we had built something so transformational. I was just so ready to go, so ready to get the supports I needed and live the life I wanted and give back.
But in August last year, Ellie's health deteriorated. She had a bladder infection and things quickly took a turn for the worst. Doctors found a tumour at the base of her bladder, and after operating, Ellie was left with a suprapubic catheter.
A suprapubic catheter is where they actually create a hole underneath your belly button that the catheter comes out of. And I was really devastated, and I felt silly for being so devastated. You know, I was lucky, it wasn't cancerous, but I hated it. I hated every part of it. I've never resisted something with my health so much. I've had health issues my whole life. I'm disabled. But with this catheter, there was no working hard. There was nothing I could do to make it better. It was what it was.
And after spending 3 months in hospital, Ellie was discharged. Life as she knew it had changed.
I couldn't move my arm, which meant I couldn't write, I couldn't text. Often I couldn't feed myself or pick up a glass of water, and there was no time frame on when that would change.
She needed greater support. So Ellie applied for a new NDIS plan, but what she received did not meet her needs.
For a 12-month plan, they had allocated me exactly $6,000 for my catheter-related products. That only covers 6 months. And so we immediately reached out to my local area coordinator and I said, well, what am I supposed to do at the end of 6 months? And she said, oh, well, don't let it go that long. Like, make your bags spread out. Like, can't you wash them out and reuse them? And it was at that point that I just wanted to give up.
Ellie is not alone. Disability providers and NDIS participants alike have been calling out the government for standardising plans and cost cutting, with Revelations spending on the average plan dropped by nearly 4% or nearly $3,000 last year. That's the first time the average plan has fallen since the scheme was introduced by the Gillard government in 2013.
Disability care starts in 7 weeks' time and there will be no turning back. I commend this bill to the House.
It was about giving people with disability choice, and it was about putting them in the driver's seat of their own lives. I think Australians should be appalled at the direction in which the NDIS is going.
With the Morrison government set to hand down its budget tomorrow night, Ellie is heading to Canberra to petition the PM and opposition leader directly.
We need politicians elected who are going to defend the NDIS on our behalf. And I want people with disability at this election to know that they have power.
And she's got a message for all Aussie voters too.
Disabled Australians fight every day. We need your help. We need you to think of the NDIS when you go to vote, because collectively we can turn this around. We can get our NDIS back.
I hope I'm talking now. I'm still going, no, we're going, no, we're talking. I hope you can hear me. The NDS is remarkable. And I think a lot of people are proud of the NDS and are happy with the NDS, but we've got to make sure the NDIS works. As well as working for Melba, I'm sharing now, I'm the father of a child with an NDIS package. When I say child, she's an adult. What the NDIS has meant to me is I've been able to stop being her financial manager, her counsellor, her psychologist, her home help. And it's meant for the last 3 years since we've had the package that I could return to being her dad. And that was a huge thing. That was a huge thing for me to be able to do. The NDS has allowed me and my daughter to have a relationship again that was getting really, really strained prior to the NDS. So I think the NDS is critical. It's important for me. It's important for over 500,000 people in this country. So do the campaign, get involved, order a call flute sign, buy a T-shirt, wear a T-shirt around. If you want to know more what's going on, we're going to put a link up later on. There's a big night in event on tonight. You can all through Teamworks, you can all jump in and join. It's the Every Australian Counts campaign. Here we go. And we'd like to thank you for coming along today. Support people. Yes, there we go. Order a call flute sign. It's great to see people already wearing the T-shirts. If you want another one, go online, order one. This is a really important campaign. This is a hugely important campaign. We have to make sure that the NDS stays forever. This is Melba's 50th year. I reckon I'll be dead in 50 years' time. I'm just taking a punt here. But I hope in 50 years' time, when Melba turns 100, the NDS is still continuing, that it's a really fantastic program, that it's supporting heaps of people, and that all of us here today, everyone online here today, all of the staff at Melba, all of the people we support, we're all part of a group that help live fabulous lives. So thank you for joining in. We'll see you around. Our best wishes to Hayley. We hope you get over COVID. You sounded rubbish this morning. So I really feel for you. Hayley's got something that is worse than the man flu. I've had the man flu. I've been a sook. So Hayley, we hope you get better. To everybody who's joined in today, thank you. Sign letters, send stuff off, buy stuff. And we hope we can see you all at the event tonight.